Okay, here's my friend Silas, my most excellent guide, and he's going to show me who lived where as we walk down the road here in Kaimosi. What is the name of the road now that goes through Kaimosi?
This is Kaimosi Road.
Okay.
And on Kaimosi Road, the far end, Kabisa, the last house, used to belong to a British family. The next house belonged to David, whom I'm guiding. The next one was belonging to Adede, and Adede had a son who was called Rufus, the late Rufus, who was a good friend to David.
Yeah.
They grew up with David. And Rufus was my classmate.
Rufus was your classmate?
I took some few classes as my schoolmate.
Uh-huh.
Now, this is the house that belongs to a missionary who was working precisely at the TTC. But I didn't know who he was because he was not good at buying our pineapples.
Huh?
And we used to sell, I knew them more because they were with my father. We were selling pineapples with my father. And this is their house. Now, the next house belongs to Del Dorell's family.
Ah, yes, yes.
Del Dorell, even Del Dorell has once come again back here as a missionary to Uganda.
Yeah, really.
He came and went to Uganda as a missionary. Del Dorell used to stay there. And down here, these are just new houses that have been built recently. This used to be a playground, and this used to be bush. The next house is for Russell Kindle.
The Kindle's house, yes.
The Kindle's house was there.
I knew Garnet Kindle was the daughter.
Right. And this Kindle was married to the daughter of the late Bond, Mira Bond, the founder of Kaimosi Friends Hospital.
Ah.
And that...
Oh, and it burned. This is the house that burned.
Yeah, and it's just being repaired recently. And that's the house where Kindle stayed. Kindle is the founder of our Turkana mission. He left here and went to Turkana and founded the mission there.
In Turkana?
In Turkana, at a place called Galgol. And even up to date, that mission has been being funded by the FUM. And I think it's still operational, partly serving as meeting houses. But the industries and other things that he took there are not really working. And next from Kindle House, and this house once was being occupied by somebody called Bob Mills. Bob Mills, part of his family is staying in Maryland, and they are staying in Maryland, and they are staying with a family I know very well in Baltimore. And Baltimore meeting, and this is what used to have. This used to be the industrial part.
Yes.
Where we had carpentry work going on. There used to be a petrol station.
Yep.
A filling station, but now currently it has turned up to be. What we call it. This minute we are talking, it is a youth polytechnic. Students come from other parts of the world, of Kenya, to come and take their education here in different trades. And on our right here...
The post office was there too when I was living here.
The post
was it the industrial?
Yeah, and that is the printing press that used to be here. And that printing press was in the memory of somebody called Rees.
Yes, I remember that name.
And it was moved from here to the PAG church in Nyangori, left Nyangori. It is now in Nairobi, and it's called Evangelical Publishers. And they sell, even right now, we at the TTC, at Kaimosi Teacher, we at the FTC are esteemed customers to Evangelical. We buy all our books, and even this morning, some of the books that I sold you are printed by Evangelical.
Here's the...
This used to be the playground for the girls' school. This was the playground for the girls' school. And by then it was being called GBS, Girls' Boarding School. And we used to have there a lady who was by name called Miss Spoon, Pearl Spoon. Pearl Spoon used to be there.
Didn't know that name.
Pearl Spoon was there. still the compound to friend from Kaimosi Teachers College. And I'm sure your father played a role here. Your late father played a role here.
Yes, very
And he really worked there for 2 years before he left for States.
Mm-hmm.
And this is this in this place. It used to house a house. They used to have here where the dining hall stands. We used to have the house belonging to Mr. Kellam. Kellam was like education secretary or something of that type.
This is the dining hall
This
here?
is the dining
for
hall.
the
It
teachers'
stands,
college?
yeah, the teachers' college.
Uh-huh.
It is standing where there used to be the house for Kellam.
Ah.
Kellam, who is the grandfather to the retired presiding clerk of Friends United Meeting.
Ah.
And he had a son called David Kellam, who was still a missionary down in Rwanda and in Burundi, and came here sometimes in 1982. And this is now Thomas Lungaho's house.
Yes.
And this is the house where we had, this is where the founder of the mission, who was called, the founder of the mission, he was called Chilson, came and used to stay here.
Ah.
And this Chilson had a daughter who was called Rachel. Rachel Chilson went to America once, came back to Kenya. He was in Friends University, Wichita, Kansas. He came to Kenya here. On coming to Kenya here, he died in Nakuru and was buried here in Kaimosi.
Ah, wow.
He was buried in Kaimosi here. He came from Nakuru and was just, he used to stay in Nakuru, but in his will, he had willed to be buried in Kaimosi. And obviously he was buried here. And then, now, all times and other time now, we had the principal's house for the TTC was inside there, and that principal's house, it has housed so many people. I have seen somebody called Roger Carter staying there as a principal, and Roger Carter has been there, and there have been some American principals staying there, but I know Roger Carter was a Briton. And now here we come to your school, Kaimosi Junior School. This is a school that was the base for learning, and then you would go to Rift Valley Academy in Nakuru, and on Kijabe. If you grow big, you would go to Rift Valley Academy.
Right.
And right now, up there at the Rift Valley Academy, where the school is, there is a missionary, a doctor who is a missionary, whom we think represents sort of our interests as Quakers. He's called Bob Carter. So we feel so great to have somebody in Kijabe Hospital working there.
Uh-huh.
And he's from the Quaker origin. His father was Wayne Carter, one of the presiding clerk of every UM.
Yes, my two older brothers who were here went to the Rift Valley Academy.
Right, and
But I was not old enough to.
to go and handle yourself in the Rift Valley.
And very happily I got to stay
Yeah, because
in Kaimosi.
in Rift Valley there used to be a lot of suffering for students. I heard that. Now these buildings are all new, apart from one very old building there, which I think you have the picture of it.
Yes,
We took it the other day.
my old schoolhouse.
And in fact, one thing, the picture that came showing the school was really showing the place where again you took some photos.
Uh-huh.
And it was really showing the place where you took photos.
Yes, the same steps, the same wall,
Everything.
the same porch. Yeah.
There isn't so much that you would say has changed. Now here, this is the Bumbo Kakamega Road.
Yes.
Bumbo Kakamega Road.
Kakamega down the Bumbo Road.
Right, Kakamega down the Bumbo Road. Hello. This is the Jamaica down Rumbo Road. And now we'll arrange for our next week meet in the course of the week to go there, either during Christmas. So my wife was planning that we should be there during Christmas itself. But today we should see the dump. This is the Friends Hostel where you once were a patient.
Yes.
And this is a new part. This is a new part of, this is the junior school expanded and the boarding section is here. So you don't have to say that it is still the small tiny building you had. Has all these houses here up the other end. It's not covering. You used to cover about a quarter an acre of land now. That's not now.
This is all new.
I hope the Russell Kindu is still alive.
And that's the hospital.